Hi, everybody. I'm Charity Counts. I'm the Executive Director of the Association of Midwest Museums. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate the 2025 Promising Leadership Award recipient, Chris Morehead, Director of Experience and Operations at Newfields, located in Indianapolis, Indiana. Before we begin our program, I invite my co-host for this evening, Common Hillenberg, to offer a land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Charity. Hello, my name is Carmen Hillenberg. I'm the collections manager at the Evansville Museum of Arts, History, and Science in Evansville, Indiana, and a board member of AMM. In this era of virtual meetings, when digital spaces may substitute our physical sense of place, it is important to redirect our attention to the land we each occupy in this moment and honor the Indigenous people who have called it home. Because I'm located in Evansville, Indiana, I invite you to join me in acknowledging the Osage Nation, Quapaw Nation, Miami Tribe of Oklahoma, Peoria Tribe of Indians of Oklahoma, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Common. All right, I have a few housekeeping notes before we begin the program. First of all, we invite you to participate today as you're comfortable. That means you can have your video on or off, whatever you prefer. But please keep your audio muted until we prompt you to unmute at different points in the program. And there will be points to unmute, and I hope that you do it. You can also use the chat to react or the reaction tools in the Zoom window to respond to what you're hearing today, make comments or ask questions. There will be moments when we ask you to unmute and clap and cheer. You may also just wave or snap your fingers if you prefer. We have Zoom's built-in transcription feature turned on, and you can turn on or off captions with the CC button in your Zoom window. If you didn't notice already, we also have an ASL interpreter with us today. I have added a spotlight to our interpreter, our hosts, and the recipient to ensure that they remain at the top of your screen. If you're using gallery view, you switch to presenter view or have presenter view, they are the primary videos on your screen, so everybody else appears small. You can change these views anytime from your Zoom window. Just click view when you hover over your screen there, and you can make that change. For those of you getting to know AMM for the first time through this event, I'd like to provide a little bit of background information. We were founded in 1927, which means that we're quickly approaching our 100th anniversary. And we were one of the very first museum associations in the United States, and we serve an 8-state region, including Indiana, where our recipient is located. We host many virtual programs each year, but the awards are my favorite. It is a joy to celebrate all of our honorees through these programs that bring together their peers in the museum community, so our network, their staff, their colleagues, their family, and friends. Finally, I want to make an acknowledgement for everyone who's involved in today's program. You've already met my co-host, Common. Of course, our award recipient, Chris Morehead. We also have Chris's colleagues from Newfields with us today, Laura McGrew, Senior Director for Guest Experience and Volunteerism, and Jerry Wise, CFO. You saw them introduce themselves in the chat too, probably. So we're happy to have everybody with us. Let's get this party started. I'll pass the mic to Common to get the awards program going.
All right, thanks, Charity. Yes, let's get the party started. The Promising Leadership Award recognizes individuals who are in early stages of their museum careers who have shown a knack for leadership. We're here today to celebrate someone in our museum community whose impact has been both community-wide and national in scope. Chris Morehead's museum career began at Newfields about 10 years ago, where he has rapidly advanced through roles spanning volunteership, internship, community engagement, customer service, guest experience, and operations. In his current role as Director of Experience and Operations, Chris oversees and supports frontline operations. The awards committee enjoy learning about Chris through the testimonies of his peers and coworkers. It was very apparent to us that he is someone who is dedicated to improving operations and the visitor experience, but has taken great care to support the people engaged in providing those services, the frontline staff and volunteers. During today's event, we will have the opportunity to learn more about the obstacles he has navigated in museum operations and where he seeks inspiration and support at this stage of his career. Before we do that, we invite a couple of Chris's nominators to say a few words about why they chose to nominate him for this award. Jerry and Laura, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. We're really honored and excited to help Chris and to be here to celebrate his award today. I was able to hire him 10 years ago into the manager of volunteerism position. Can't believe it's been 10 years already. I'm getting all choked up already. And I will just say that, like, the minute I met him, I knew that he was the right person for that position. And we had a panel interview, and I honestly didn't care what they thought. I knew that he was going to be the one that we chose. And luckily, they agreed with me. So I'm going to turn it over to Jerry, who has a little bit of an interview story to share.
Absolutely. And
Jerry, you're muted. Something happened. There you go. I still can't. I don't know what happened. I think we lost your audio.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. So while Laura had a clear choice, one thing, we had two people with almost identical names interviewing for the same position who were both fantastic. There was Chris and an individual named Krista. But one thing really stood out about Chris in the interview that has been true throughout his career. It's his ability for leadership, great management, and engagement. And I remember turning to Laura after the interview and saying, I really think that Chris can get our softball team energized. And in one of his few failures, the softball team folded shortly after we hired him. And I had a moment of doubt about the future, which proved unfounded.
Yes. No, I will say that one thing that I've always loved about Chris is his ability to just, like, take an idea and grow it and then make it come to fruition. So he does a lot of traveling, and he goes to other museums every time he travels, whether it's for business or pleasure. And he will pack in 3 museums in one city in one day, so that he can kind of look at other institutions and how they operate and take the best ideas and bring them back to us. And that's one thing I've just always really appreciated about him, is that innovative mind that he has and how he just kind of sucks in all of that knowledge from other institutions and then uses it to make Newfields a better place.
Yeah, and his passion for the institution, the industry, just really shines through in everything that he does. One thing that I had the opportunity and the honor to serve as the interim CEO at Newfields for about 18 months, as well as the CFO. And when you're in that position, you look to people who you know are going to get things done for the institution and be some of those pillars of the institution. And Chris is one of those people. And if you ask me to describe him, Chris is somebody who gets things done. He was able to, in addition to his duties, able to rebuild trust with the community while we were still advancing our guest experience and volunteer program. And really, 3 words that I would use to describe Chris is his commitment to excellence, execution, and equity. And so for me and Laura, really wanted to congratulate Chris on what we consider a well-deserved and well-earned award, and look forward to the future of Chris's leadership in the industry.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well then now I invite everyone here with us today to unmute or use your Zoom reaction icons to join me in a round of applause for Chris Morehead 2025 Promising Leadership Award recipients. Woohoo.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Common, for presenting once again the award to Chris. Chris, we'd love to hear from you now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jerry and Laura. Those are incredibly kind words, and I take them very much to heart. We've been through a lot together in the last 10 years. I really need to thank my partner, Michael, who has been through all of it with me. I actually wouldn't even be in this role in this industry if it wasn't for Michael. He was the first person to inspire me and push me into even just applying for the job at Newfields, because I had always wanted to work for a museum, but didn't have the exact right experience. But that first job with Laura and that first interaction with her and the team really just spoke volumes, and it's been a match made in heaven ever since. So I'm grateful for the journey thus far and really stoked to see where we go next. So thanks to everybody that supported me. Thanks to the incredible leaders that put me up for this. I'm very humbled to have been nominated and then to get to receive the award. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. For our program today, we are going to interview Chris. We're going to get to know him a little bit better, ask him questions. I have some questions that I want to ask, but I'm going to fold in any questions that you all drop into the chat for me. Or if you prefer, you can also raise your hand. You can use the Zoom tool to do that, or turn on your video and raise your hand, and I'll work you into the conversation. You can also save questions at the end. Whatever you're comfortable with, we'll get to you. But we'll go ahead and dive into the things that I want to know about Chris. First, I think it's always fun to talk to leaders about a lot of things, in particular, their path to this point, right? So I want to talk about your career path, Chris. First, prior to working at Newfields, did you picture yourself ever working in a museum? Was that something you ever imagined for yourself before this role?
I loved museums, and have always had a connection to them. My grandmother actually has a really funny story. I liked museums that I specifically wanted to play with when I was play in and around when I was a kid. But she has a story that she literally had to drag me into a country western museum in Oklahoma one time, kicking and screaming because I just did not want to go for whatever reason. And I've come a long way. I love institutions that have the ability to tell the story of whatever they're about, whatever their connection is, whatever their community is. And so I had always, as an adult, wanted to figure out a way to get into that, and just didn't have I didn't have a degree in art. I loved art. I loved being around art. I knew where I wanted to work, but I didn't know exactly how to get my foot in the door and what to do until that very first job description came out with the volunteer manager. And I'm like, that I know how to do. And that was the moment where I was able to marry my passion for volunteerism with actually getting paid to do that work. And so it was a very fortuitous moment and definitely serendipitous in my world.
So what was it about this position description that spoke to you?
I had always admired it was then the Indianapolis Museum of Art, now Newfields. But I'd always admired the institution, loved the events, loved the different experiences I got to engage in the galleries, especially back then we had a partnership with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, and me and my friends would come and enjoy music in the galleries, and just thought that was so cool. It was such an aspirational, inspiring place to be in and to work at. Having significant works of art on the wall helps things. I love Van Gogh. They've got a Van Gogh here. All of those different connections and threads in my life that I've wanted to be around and a part of that type of community and that type of work, just all coalesced in one space. And I mean, it's beautiful here. I jump out of bed every day, and I'm excited and inspired to get to come here and get to do the work that we do. And that is something that I always wanted to feel in my life. I wanted to feel connected and inspired by my work. I didn't want to have to drudge and drag myself into the office. And I spent a lot of time my life doing that to pay the bills. And then, in my private time, took on volunteer opportunities with the things that did inspire me and I did want to do. But then you end up with two giant jobs. You spend 80 hours a week trying to pay the bills and trying to fulfill your heart. And the IMA, now Newfields, fulfills both of those things in one.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like a lot of people, for those who aren't in the museum profession, sort of stumble into museum work in a very similar way and then fall in love with it for all of those reasons. So we're glad you're
Yeah.
here, Chris. We're glad to have you in this museum community. Um, now that you're in it, do you have like long-term goals? Are there things that you think about in the future? Like I could just see myself one day being or doing, or do you just want to like, move in at Newfields?
No, I definitely have long-term goals. I don't know where the path is taking me. Something I learned along the line was to make sure that I wasn't creating too narrow of a path. So I try to follow where the wind is taking me, and this journey has been incredibly fulfilling thus far. So I'm trusting the sails and where they're guiding me and where they're directing me. And Jerry and Laura have been incredible in supporting my journey thus far. Um, if you asked me when I first started 10 years ago, if I'd be in the role doing the work that I'm doing now, I'd say you were crazy. But I've learned so much and I've been afforded those opportunities to do that work and to learn and grow in so many different ways. I've loved volunteerism and pretty much anything I do, I want to be the best at it. I will say volunteerism took me by surprise in a way that I did not expect to be the current president of the American Association for Museum Volunteerism. That was a card I didn't expect to do, but you work your way into these different roles and responsibilities to help support the industry and to support your peers and the institutions that you love and care about in meaningful ways. And you start to amass these things and different skill sets along the way. Definitely really opened my eyes along the way to lots of different potentials for my future. And I think that that's been important to me to consider things that I had never heard of or never even conceived of before. I'm loving my work that I do in operations. It's natural to me. The logistics side of things and just the strategy of how we operate and how we can be more efficient and better take care of our guests as well as our staff and our volunteers is passion work for me. It also just makes sense in the way that I think and I operate.
Awesome. I love that. I know you're working on your MBA right now with Notre Dame, right?
I am.
Tell us a little bit about the program that you're a part of and what prompted you to seek that degree.
Yeah, so the executive MBA program at Notre Dame, if you're not familiar with EMBA programs, you get an MBA, that's what it is, but it's for people that are like me and other classmates that are in the program that are high performing individuals that are looking to level themselves up and maybe just never had the opportunity or the time to invest in a graduate degree. I was introduced to the program through a leadership program called Diversity and Leadership that I myself and a few other colleagues got to participate in and applied to and got accepted to the program. We were actually primarily focused in Ohio. And so I was looking at all grad schools in Ohio, Case Western being one of them, and they have an incredible MBA program. And on a whim, one of my friends said, I know you need to go check out Notre Dame. I was like, I can never get in there. There's no way. Like, you just go visit. And so a year ago in September, I drove up to South Bend and took a tour. And honestly, the moment I set foot on that campus, it just felt like home. It's where I just envisioned myself. I could see it clear as day. There was a connection there that I didn't understand the likes of what it was going to become at that moment, but knew that's where the sails and the wind was taking me, and I needed to go there. So I applied, went through a very rigorous, very quick application process because I was in the late application part of this for that then fall semester, starting very soon, and was accepted and figured it all out and was able to get the support of Newfields and leadership here to support my journey there because there is a little bit of time away from the office that's involved there. But once a month, I'm up in residency with my classmates. We have nights and weekends where we have homework and projects that we work on things. There's a few international immersion trips that have been incredible so far. It's a lot of work, but I will say it's helped grow me as a leader, personally with my skill sets. I feel like it's given me some perspective that I needed, that have just didn't get along the way, and I'm really hopeful that it's going to continue to open some more doors for me, and not just here at Newfields, but long into the future. I definitely know that the network and the community that I'm building through my peers at Notre Dame, but also the alumni that we're getting access to, has been out of this world. Just the best of the best in the industry. And I can't speak enough about our professors and what we're learning there.
That's awesome. I will say that I see photos that you post all the time on LinkedIn, and I'm a little bit jealous. It does look pretty amazing. So awesome that the museum has supported you in that effort, I think.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter what career stage you're in. You can always,
No.
right? So.
I totally have always viewed myself as a lifelong learner, but just never like thought to apply the term to it. But I'm definitely that. I want to absorb as much as possible. Laura talked a little bit about it. I love museums, like even the country western ones. But I want to. I like that. I enjoy it personally, and so I'm always down to go visit an institution, an immersive experience, you name it. And yes, I am the person that takes pictures of the trash cans and a cool sign that I see. And like, oh, they've got a great selfie moment, I've got to do that. Like, I want all of those things, and I just happen to bring it back and want our team to continue to grow and learn from those experiences. But it's fulfilling to me. I love it and I enjoy it, and I like sharing it. And like LinkedIn, I'm pretty active on there and love sharing my journey with Notre Dame. If it inspires anybody else to learn something new or try something new or challenge themselves in a new way, it doesn't matter how old you are. You're never too young or too old to get out there and become a better version of yourself.
Awesome. Do you feel like you have been able to apply anything you've learned like almost immediately to your work at Newfields?
It's been wild. Like legitimately in the moment, like even before class is done, we've been able to workshop some real life scenarios. My colleagues kind of razz me because I'm really into AI right now. A big part of our education has been learning about how to apply AI in executive places, and literally weave it into your life, into the places that we're working right now, and how to do it responsibly and ethically, and all those considerations. And so it's been incredible to have AI grow up with us as we're learning about these things, and to have the professors and the education support that type of rapid learning. Business law has been inspiring as I'm literally writing contracts and doing RFPs, and that's been pretty timely for me to learn all things about business law and contracting while I'm actually doing these things. So yes, I mean it's in the flesh in the moment, learning and applying. It's wild. It's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. I know you mentioned already a little bit that it's a lot of work. You're out of the office for your residencies. I remember when I pursued my master's, I was commuting to school and working full time, and you're like trying to balance all of that. I imagine a lot of people consider this, pursuing higher ed while they're working full time or other professional development opportunities. And I think they're very important. I know I'm an association person saying that out loud, but I think that it is hard to balance it, and I think that's a deterrent. So I wonder if you have any tips for people, like how are you about striking that balance? What kind of conversations are you having internally to make it work with your schedule? Any tips for folks?
Do it now. Don't wait. There's never gonna be a good time. Like, it's never convenient. We're all professionals with very demanding, jobs. Yeah, I'm really fortunate that I have an incredible partner at home that is okay with me being away for part of that time. That helps support me when I've got to jump on a call and it's dinner time, because I've got a learning team meeting and there's a project due tomorrow. The late nights, time away, you've got to build your support network around you to help take care of you, and hopefully you have as incredible of a work family as I do here at Newfields that are supportive and equally excited for my journey. I have a lot of colleagues that pop in and ask how it was. Some people are Notre Dame fans, they want to know how the game was. That's one of those fun bonus things, you get to go to the football games. um, my advice is build your support system strong. That's your foundation, and it's going to be what's going to help keep you in the program and keep you successful in the program. But then don't wait. Do it now, because what's another year? I mean, if I hadn't stepped forward and done that, I would maybe just be starting. And as it is, I graduate in May. I'm more than halfway through the program and incredibly thankful for the journey. And it's helping me in real time be a better person in my personal life, but also my professional life.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. I want to take a moment to just say, I'm going to drop your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
So folks can connect with you and also see all your awesome photos from the program and other things that you're doing out there with professional development and everything. I also want to remind folks that if you have questions at all, as you hear things that Chris and I are talking about, feel free to use the chat to drop those questions, or you can always raise your hand if you want. I want to shift now to just talking about leadership, museums and leadership. I've mentioned to you this about this before. I have this opinion. I'm a firm believer that some of the best museum leaders are people who started in operations, right? They held positions on the front line. They were, managing security staff, or they were, managing theaters, or they were, developing programs or exhibits. I just think that people who were part of building the experience for the visitor sometimes make the absolute best museum leaders. I think that has a lot to do with their closeness and connection to the audience, obviously, but I think it's also just, there's something about that experience of doing that work that kind of helps you kind of think about how museums operate and who's working in them, and do that with care. And I see that a lot in you, Chris. So I want to talk to you a little bit about museum leadership and what makes a great leader today, because I think it's important to reflect on that. First, is there a leader out there that you have worked for, that who you admire? Maybe you look to them for inspiration, or you've seen how they've applied different things in their work, and you've thought, I really want to be like that, or I want to be able to take the same approach or have the same mindset.
Yes, many. It's funny. Like, there's no one that is like the penultimate to me, because I like to look at everybody for what their best talents and skill sets are and try and learn and grow from them. Like, Jerry's been incredibly inspirational on the strategy side of things. Like, if I can get my brain to work as quickly and as complexly as Jerry's is, I will be doing very well in this world. Laura, on the empathy side of things, she is incredible at helping to keep me grounded and focused on how to navigate personal relationships and take time with our staff and our team and our volunteers in meaningful ways. I look to the sector and inspirational leaders like Marilyn Jackson with the American Alliance Museum. She's the new president and CEO, and the work that she's doing nationally to help support all institutions. I've had the luxury of being able to spend some real quality time with her, and she's just incredibly inspiring, the work she does. Watching you, Charity, juggle all the things that you do for AMM has been inspiring and fun, and equally like daunting to watch you navigate running a conference in real time and taking care of everybody the way that you do. Katie Haig was a former leader here at the Idle org. She's been an incredible peer and colleague and support in helping me through, some of my more difficult challenges personally. An outside source helping me look at myself through a lens that, she's no longer here, so she can actually help me in that way. I look to other industry leaders, institutions that are inspirational to me, like Moment Factory. They do experiences. I love the work that they're doing. They're groundbreaking, and to have some insight there and know some of their staff and be able to talk about what's going to be next in the immersive experience industry, not just to museums, but beyond. looking to customer service models like Disney. I love Disney. Like Disney inspires me all the time. It's wild how Disney has taken customer service to a level that's just unreal. And they're a standard. And then you have someone like Jesse Cole with the Savannah Bananas enter the industry, and he's revolutionized, baseball in a way that you got the Harlem Globetrotters, but in a baseball realm, and what that customer service model does. So there's not just one space that I look to for inspiration, it's all the spaces. And I try and draw the best of all of those and learn from them and see what's my version of that. Like I talk a lot about innovating and elevating. Like I don't want to just replicate or duplicate what they do. I want to truly learn that internally and then figure out what's my version of that. How am I going to bring that forth or encapsulate that incredible talent or that skill set or that the manner in which somebody holds themselves accountable and to their staff. That's what I want to be.
Yeah, I love that, because I think sometimes we get it in our heads that innovation is about newness, but sometimes innovation is just about how you marry newness with who you serve or the outcomes that you want to see at your organizations, right? Like it's not just about plugging and chugging with a
Right.
Okay, so I you sort of have touched on this, but I just want to get into this a little bit more. You know, how do you feel like your operations role, so specifically at Newfields, has shaped your leadership style? So this is sort of like, you brought your leadership to this work now. How has that work shaped you?
It's really interesting. It's been very fluid recently in that I'm in an incredibly cross-departmental role and have been for a little bit in this current role. It's inspiring and so challenging at the same moment to have to bring so many people along for very challenging conversations. We have a lot of big decisions that we have to make together, and like Jerry and Laura both said, I am known as a person that gets things done, and I wear that and I appreciate that so very much. But it's because I've been able to learn alongside of and grow with my peers and colleagues here at Newfields, but also in the industry and other spaces, that I'm able to do that and able to have those conversations. I'm lucky that I've been able to get the skill sets that I need to be successful in this role, but that's only part of it. Like being able to do the work and think through the work is just a small piece of what I have to do on a daily basis. And if it wasn't for incredible colleagues that are firing and executing at the highest levels, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. We wouldn't be where we're at today as a team. So I think for the most part, my education is helping. Laura's helped with this, all of the people that have helped inspire me, but colleagues keeping me grounded and making sure that I'm intersecting with them on a consistent basis, keeping the lines of communication as open as possible. You can never communicate too much. We learn that every single day that we work here, that we've got to keep working at communication, and we do our best, but we still need to work on that. And so those are things that are consistent challenges for me, but also things that I look forward to every day, and making sure that I'm doing my best from my end and helping my colleagues be successful and find success in what we do for our guests.
Awesome. How are you assessing operations and experiences at Newfields? Do you all find time not just to communicate, but to reflect together on that? Or how are you evaluating your work?
Yeah, we deal a lot in and talk a lot about an effortless experience. And that's, we're here because of our guests and the community that we strive to serve. So how can we make it as effortless as possible for our guests to come and visit us? And, you think about anything from going to the website to driving up and finding a parking space to checking in and getting your ticket scanned to finding a piece of art in our collection. those are very daunting things for a lot of people, especially somebody that's never been to a museum, or maybe they don't think that the museum's for them. And so when you think about the community that you strive to serve versus the community you think you serve, hopefully those are two similar things, but oftentimes they're not. And so making sure that as you approach how you're going to provide this effortless experience, you also need to marry that with some equity work and thinking through how that community needs to be served and how they want to be served. Just because you want it to be designed one way doesn't mean that that's going to be the best way to serve the community that's actually visiting you. And so when I think about customer service and hospitality and the things that we're striving for, I always try to look at it through both lenses. I want to see what we're aspiring to be, but also how are we meeting the mark for the community that we're actually striving to serve out there that might be scared or nervous about coming to our institution, whether it's for a daily visit to the museum or garden, or it's for one of our seasonal experiences like Harvest Nights or Winter Lights.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like one of the barriers to making improvements. So say you do assess the experience, you know that there are changes that need to be made. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is just get buy-in from the top down on that. So what's worked for you in advocating for shifts in how you approach operations and experiences and events at Newfields?
This is something I particularly love, data. I love crunching numbers and taking a look at how are we performing and what has changed because of what we did. For the good or the bad. You don't get to win in them all. Hopefully you win more than you lose. But really taking a look at the things that you're doing and how that is having a real-time influence and effect on your operations and also on how your guest satisfaction is. And that's not just your standard guest satisfaction, but how the community that's out there that you're challenged to serve and you're challenging yourself to serve, how are they perceiving you and how are they experiencing your institution? I think if you can balance all those things, then you can consider yourself reasonably successful in this world. But I think data-informed decisions are pretty darn important in our world. And to me personally, I like to trust my gut and trust my colleagues' guts, but it's also nice if you have data to back that gut feeling and to really explain and look at and interpret what you're seeing, because sometimes there are unintended consequences of the things that we do. And maybe you're seeing success for something that is completely unrelated to what you're actually doing and think that you're doing in the experience. So that's important to gain clarity on the manner in which you're operating your experience or the institution itself.
Yeah, that's great. So can you tell us about like one big challenge you've had to tackle in your time at Newfields that you're particularly proud of, or was a major aha moment?
It's the one that I think so many institutions were faced with. And I hope that they were able to navigate it as effortlessly. I wouldn't say effortlessly, as elegantly as I think we did. And that was our COVID moment. We were very lucky in that we were finding some great success around Harvest and Winter Lights and daily general admission going into the pandemic lockdown. But we had an inkling that we were going to need time ticketing for more than just Harvest and Winter Lights. And so we started to think about what was like a maybe 1, 2, 3 year plan to introduce time ticketing into our general admission policies and then how we operated the campus. And we went into lockdown, looked at the team and said, so guess what we're going to be doing during lockdown? We built time ticketing. And with that started a conversation and a working relationship with our ticketing provider. We work with Virtual Box Office, VBO. And that relationship and that moment and being able to navigate that together and through this day has been one of the most rewarding things for me personally. Our senior leadership looked to me and then to a few others to figure out how do we reopen? How do we get this institution back in a space where everybody feels comfortable, cared for, and well taken care of but also financially sustainable. How can we take care of the people that need this for their livelihoods? And so being able to be a part of that team that helped make that happen at the highest levels is one of my favorite things that I've ever gotten to do in my life. It was incredibly challenging and incredibly scary, very stressful at times, but we rose to the moment. We're one of the few institutions very early on, as we started to come out of lockdown, that were granted permission from the state to reopen. And then we became and started a conversation with peer institutions and check-ins and taught them how to do it and compared notes. And that conversation still exists, and those relationships still exist to this day. That type of peer outreach and trust and cross-institutional trust that we built, that's so valuable. And that was my lesson in reaching out and not being scared to show your cards, that you have much more to gain by sharing with another institution and helping one another. All boats rise, as they say. So embracing that really fully in that moment and continuing those conversations. And I think they were actually a huge part of my nomination for this award, is that those conversations are still ongoing and those relationships still exist.
That's awesome. I know the committee was impressed by that as well. So I guess in the words of Cher, if you could turn back time, are there anything that you would maybe, if you got to do it over, you would do it a little differently?
Honestly, I don't think so. I mean, we'd love to refine and fine tune our lives, but I also wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for everything, all of it, the good, the bad, sometimes ugly. It's all part of the story that led to this moment that I'm in now. And so, no, I don't think I would. I probably wish I could have navigated things a little bit more gracefully at times, changed what I said here or there, but on the whole, it's our lived experience, and we do our best in the moment that we are with the tools that we have in front of us. So, no, look back to see and learn and do your best to see where you're going next, because you're going that way. You're not going that way. Keep moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat or hands raised, but we've got a couple minutes here. I just wanted to maybe ask a fun question to wrap us up today, but it's also sort of a resource question. I don't know if you're a reader, or if you seek inspiration or ideas from YouTube or whatever. Anybody that you're following, or books that you're reading, or that you go back to on a regular basis for inspiration?
Yes. Simon Sinek is one of my absolute favorite people out in the universe right now. If you need a pep talk, if you need some inspiration in your day, if you are just feeling down or defeated, go to YouTube and just pick any Simon Sinek.
Okay.
Little clip, big clip, watch him for an hour. You can watch him all day. I don't know. He just has a way of reframing things and reframing challenges that keep me humble, keep me honest, keep me inspired, keeping my eye on the right ball. Right. We all do a lot of juggling, and sometimes you're paying too much attention to one ball rather than the other. Simon Sinek has a wonderful way of helping me personally rebalance, and if he can help you as well, my gosh, go for it. Something else that recently has been it was part of an assignment at school and has made its way into my everyday, is Unreasonable Hospitality. It's a great book that's out there. I highly recommend it. I think the story that most people have heard is probably one that was on either on YouTube or one of the other social media apps, where this fine dining restaurant experience is going on, and somebody overhears the table talking about they'd wish they had a New York City hot dog. They had done all the fine dining in the world, but they missed their opportunity to have a New York City hot dog. And the server sprints down the street, grabs one from a hot dog vendor on the street, and then serves it up. And it just completes their experience. So what's that unreasonable hospitality that you can do in your world, that you can provide to your guests as they experience your institution? I just found it really inspiring to challenge myself and to challenge others to think like, what are those things? What are those, we all have these policies and procedures that we're beholden to, but if it's not to take care of the guest, then what's it for in the end? So what rules do we need to reconsider? How can we consider making a rule that no matter what, we have to take care of our guest in the best way possible? That's been a big one for me. It was Unreasonable Hospitality. So I recommend that book too. Savannah Banana's story. Jesse Cole wrote a book. Jerry, I would like my copy back sometime soon. I've got you on camera now. But that book has been really cool about how it just tells his story and the customer service story that like their entire model is around, yes, hands first, is around customer service and taking care of the customer and doing the right thing. And they built this entire empire off of it. And yes, they're making money, but they're still charging $25, $35 a ticket, no matter what the cost. That's amazing. Like, what a cool story and what a cool way to inspire people and to build your empire out of. So that's another one that's been really cool and fun to follow. And I'm still trying to get tickets to this day. It's impossible, but also that's part of the gig. Is like you're still trying to get those tickets and get to see and be a part of that experience.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing all of that, Chris. Thank you for, being open to talking about the ins and outs of what you do and what brought you here to this moment. I know it's not always easy to be vulnerable in front of folks, but we appreciate you sharing. I'm going to pass the mic to Common to wrap us up here. And don't everybody leave yet, because we're going to make sure we get loud for Chris one more time.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. That was very interesting, and it's so great to hear, you speaking right in person, just from the words that we saw, with the application. It's nice to see it just here in person. So anyway, well, congratulations once again to Chris. So let's all unmute one more time for a final round of applause, please.
Woo!
Woo! And then also to everyone listening at home or at work, we hope this event brought you some joy or inspiration at the end of the day. And actually, I already subscribed to Simon Sinek, so thank you very much, Chris. I can use some, kind of a good energy these days. So thank you very much. And we'll hope to see you at our next virtual awards event, which is on Tuesday, October 14th, to honor this year's Best Practices Award recipients. So have a good evening, and thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.